In the shadow of the Cold War, three nations stood on the brink of a potential nuclear conflict. What if two nations, separated by thousands of miles, teamed up for a secret mission to stop a potential nuclear threat? What if this mission could have changed the balance of power in one of the most volatile regions in the world? In 1984, India and Israel were on the verge of launching a bold, covert strike to destroy Pakistan's nuclear ambitions. But something stopped them. What was this secret plan? Why did it never happen? And how close did we come to a nuclear disaster? Today, on Newsroom Insight, we uncover the hidden history behind one of the most daring military operations that was never carried out. The story begins in 1981 when a secret plan was hatched between two unlikely allies, India and Israel. Their target? Pakistan's growing nuclear program. But there was one major obstacle: the United States. By the early 1980s, both India and Israel were growing increasingly anxious about Pakistan's advancements toward building a nuclear bomb. For India, it was a clear threat. Pakistan's nuclear arsenal would be aimed directly at it. For Israel, it represented a potential Islamic bomb, a threat to its very survival, possibly aiding its Arab rivals. Pakistan had been developing its civilian nuclear program since the 1950s, but it wasn't until after the devastating loss to India in the 1971 war that Pakistan's leadership, under Prime Minister Zulfikar Bhutto, ordered the development of nuclear weapons. The rogue scientist Abdul Qadir Khan, or AQ Khan, spearheaded this mission. Using stolen designs and technology from Europe and support from China, Pakistan inched closer to its nuclear ambitions by the late 1970s. India and Israel knew they had to act. By the mid-1970s, the two nations, though they had no formal diplomatic ties, began cooperating through their intelligence agencies, RAW and Mossad. Both knew they faced a common threat, but it was Israel's 1981 strike on Iraq's Osirak nuclear reactor that truly set things in motion. In a surprise attack, Israel's Air Force destroyed Iraq's nuclear capabilities using 8 F-16s. This bold operation was a warning to Pakistan and to the world. India and Israel began considering a similar attack on Pakistan's key nuclear installation at Kahuta. Journalist Adrian Levy reveals that shortly after the Osirak raid, a top-level team of Indian military and intelligence officers convened to discuss whether an Osirak-style attack could be carried out against Kahuta. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi herself authorized the plan. Indian Air Force Jaguar squadrons began training for a precision strike. Meanwhile, Israel offered to send its own jets to support the mission. They would fly through Kashmir under Pakistani radar and launch a coordinated attack. But then the unthinkable happened. The CIA, America's powerful intelligence agency, got wind of the operation. It warned Pakistan, alerting them to the imminent threat. Pakistan's top scientist, AQ Khan, soon went public, denouncing the Indo-Israeli plot. Behind the scenes, Pakistan made it clear to India that any strike on Kahuta would result in immediate retaliation, including an attack on India's nuclear facility at Trombay, a catastrophe that could result in massive fallout, affecting millions of civilians. With tensions escalating and the risk of a regional nuclear war looming, both India and Israel decided to call off the operation. The threat of mutual destruction was simply too great. By the late 1980s, both nations reached an agreement, a pact not to attack each other's nuclear facilities. And to this day, both India and Pakistan have honored that agreement. The secret plan between India and Israel remains one of the most daring and dangerous operations never carried out. It was a plan that, had it gone forward, could have changed the course of history. In a world where nuclear weapons hold the potential for unimaginable destruction, one decision not to act might have saved millions. If you enjoyed this story, consider subscribing to the Newsroom for more untold tales from the annals of history.